I just had the most amazing conversation with one actually on the co-creative circle. And we talked about the importance of connecting with nature, how to stay healthy, how to keep your mind, body, and spirit healthy, and the importance of smiling at each other. I hope you get a chance to listen.
Welcome everyone to Co-Creator Circle, and we have our co-creative conversations every week. Today I have a very wonderful person called Alison Richards. And Alison is someone, when I think of you, I think of someone who travels not only through all around this world, but also all around the knowledge bases of this world, all around the natural ways of living and ideas and thoughts every time I have I see a post by Alison. I never know where she will be and what she will be talking about, and that is so exciting. She has such an amazing life, and that's what I hope we will be able to bring out in this conversation. But I would really like to read your biography because that helps our listeners to know what it is that, and maybe they will have questions which they can ask us later. Alison Richards developed an interest in natural health and plant medicine early in life and raised her children on homegrown food. They are living proof that nutrition is critical for reaching full potential. And that's how it shows us that the people that we feature on co creative circles are those who are not only walking their talk, but talking their walk. They have seen that what they talk actually works. Alison focuses on exposing environmental injustices and teaching people not only to respect nature, but to honor and connect with it. She has written since her teenage years on a variety of topics and now works on screenplays and streaming series for TV. Alison has traveled to 45 countries, and maybe now that the number has increased, gaining incredible experience and being blessed to participate in healing and worship ceremonies on 5 continents. Her retirement dream is to plant a healing and meditation garden. And I'm not going to talk about that because I'm going to ask you. Let's start with that, Alison. What is this dream that you have?
Well, I mean, it's something that I've been pursuing. Thank you. I want to say also thank you so much for having me on. I love just being in your presence. You're so calming and you're so sweet. But I have always been really interested in plants and food medicine and nature. And I grew up camping and in the forest, and my kids, I took them camping and in the forest, and we were always participating in picking berries and catching fish and things like that. And I think a lot of people nowadays, they live in the cities and they're disconnected from the nature. And this is causing a lot of illnesses, not just physical illnesses from the lack of eating good foods and things like that, but mental and spiritual illnesses because we are nature and we're no longer connected to the nature. We've been disconnected. When you live in a city, it's really hard to connect with it. So I had this idea years ago, and it's actually something I've been pursuing for over 10 years now, that I would find a piece of land somewhere and plant all the medicinal plants, all the healing plants, and a giant garden, and then invite people to come and stay with me. And for example, in the morning, they would get up and we would pick tea and make tea. And then we would gather eggs for breakfast or fruit or whatever and eat breakfast. So they would be having an interactive experience with the nature, but at the same time learning about different natural plants, different healing modalities, because food can be either poison or food can be medicine. And a lot of people really that are ill, they just have to make a few simple lifestyle changes and their health completely turns around. I mean, I've seen this proven over and over and over again. And in my own life, it's the same way. So yeah, I searched in South America for some land, and then I got discouraged. And then I went to India, I searched for land there, but I also gained some great experience because I was working on farms there. I was working on a banana farm and a chiku farm, so I learned more about the agricultural process there and about the tribal ways and about more about Ayurvedic medicine. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird to say it's my retirement plan because it'll be a lot of work, but I love putting my hands in the soil and I love the fruits of my labor. So that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I think, like when you said retirement, it reminds me of my vision of retirement, which is I'll be doing maybe more. It's
Yeah.
like when my father retired from his day job or whatever you call it, he said, now I can start living,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
then you can do exactly what you want to, your dream. So,
Well, I've been really lucky because for the past 30 years almost, I have been doing what I want to do and I have been living my dream with travel and different experiences. As a writer, as a filmmaker, and as a journalist, I would just pick a place that I wanted to go. I would pick a topic that I was interested in, and I would just go there and do something. And that's how I got to South America. That's how I traveled to many of the different places that I've been. So I have been really blessed. And I don't ever stop asking questions. So I want to know everything about every place. And it's gotten me in some trouble in some places, but for the most part, I've had this incredible expansion and met some amazing people. So I have been really lucky. I'm already living the retirement dream, I guess you could say. Yeah.
I would say you're really living the global human dream,
Yeah.
Uh, you seem to be someone who can adapt to any place that you go to. Have you found some countries easier than others?
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't want to say bad things about any country, but I mean, there were certain places that I really loved and I really felt at home and I felt really like wow, I could stay here forever. One was Peru. I absolutely loved Peru. The people, the food, the culture. They have a very big indigenous population, and I really enjoyed the culture, the Quechua culture, and the Quechua language. And I had was really fortunate to be able to study with a shaman in the Amazon jungle there, which was I mean, in a million lifetimes, I don't know if I would ever have that experience again. It was just so incredible. He was so knowledgeable. There's 30, 40,000 plants in the Amazon jungle, and he was showing me all these different plants. This one is for tuberculosis, this one's for your kidney, this one's for, and it was what was really amazing was while I was there, I became even more connected to nature because it was such an intense place with huge bugs. Everything was so big, like it was like life on steroids. And but at the same time, I became much more grounded and no cell phone, no electricity. It was really like us and the nature. And that was probably one of the most significant experiences that I've ever had. I'm not a big city girl. I don't really like, I go to the different cities in different countries. I've been to Madrid and I've been to Dubai and I've been to all these London, these big cities. They're great and they're fun and they have like lots of great things to see. But I love the nature and I love the villages. I like to go to the fishing village or the farming community or the rural areas. That's really where my heart is. And I mean, I think that's where you find the real people, the real cultures.
Yes, it's reminding me of when I recently went to Ecuador, which is so close to Peru.
Yeah.
And exactly what you said in the mountains, I felt at home.
Yeah.
Even though my Spanish was very rusty, I just felt the people are so welcoming. The food is so welcoming, you would say, right? Because it's so
Yeah.
natural. The animals, even the stray dog. I mean, I can tell so many
Yeah.
stories. But yes, so I understand. But I wanted to ask you, like when you were with the shaman, did you get a feel for how did the first people know which plants were for what?
No, this was the strangest thing for me because I asked him, how did you learn? He said, the ayahuasca taught me. Now, the ayahuasca is the spirit vine. It's the mother plant. It is the main plant of the jungle. And he does ayahuasca ceremony with different people. Now, there's a lot of, unfortunately, it's become a fad. It's becoming like a thing that's, you can get it here, you can get it there. And I would really discourage anybody from doing ayahuasca unless they went to an authentic shaman in the Amazon. But my shaman was one of those guys. He was authentic for sure. There was no doubt about that. When he first met me, he came to me and I didn't speak very much Spanish at the time. This was in 2015. I spoke French, but I didn't speak Spanish. And there was a girl who was the interpreter. He walked straight up to me. He didn't even pay attention to her, and they were friends. And he said, this woman has a blackness in her head, and the ayahuasca will help her. And I was really taken aback because in 2012, I had biotoxin poisoning and I had a stroke. So he was describing exactly what happened to me and exactly what was wrong with me. And I had a persistent headache for 3 years, from 2012 to 2015. So that was sort of the moment in time where I thought, whoever this guy is, he's got some kind of special gift. The ayahuasca calls people. It's like a calling that he answered. He was sick and he went to a shaman when he was 17 or something and got healed. And then a couple of years later, he felt like he had to take up the study himself. And so when I met him, I was really, I was open, but I was very guarded because I was afraid, wow, what if I drink this stuff and I'm in the middle of the jungle? What if I have a bad reaction? What if this happens? What if that happens? It's 2 hours up the river, a little small town. There's not even a hospital. There's nothing there. I mean, I get a reaction if I take aspirin, right? Like I don't take anything that's not natural. But the minute I met him, I was so comforted and he was so sure and he knew me. He said, "Tu eres un curandero. You're a healer." I said, "No, I help people die. I do palliative care." He said, "Same thing, same thing." So he started to teach me. Actually, it was 2 years later because I spent time with him and then I went away and then I came back. I kept getting called back and I went back and he said, "I want to teach you." And I started to realize that he taught me specific things, but then for some reason I knew things that he didn't teach me. So I was either picking it up telepathically from him or I was learning from the jungle. Honestly, I don't know. Then, curiously enough, when I went to India after 4 years in South America, I went to India. And when I was wandering around in a lot of rural settings and on farms and in the jungle and things like that, in the forest, I would be drawn to a plant and I would think, oh, this is a really special plant. Wow, what is this? And I had like a plant identification thing, or if somebody was with me, they would say it's such and such. And I am naturally drawn to medicinal plants. I'm like a homing pigeon or a water witcher. I can find the medicinal plants. Now, I don't know where that came from. I didn't have that all my life, but it's definitely something that I picked up from, I don't know, maybe he said the ayahuasca teaches. Because if there's 30,000, 40,000 plants in the jungle, how do they know to boil the ayahuasca vine with the chacaruna leaf together? That's the only way it's effective. And they're two totally different plants. One's a vine and one's a tree. The vine from one and the leaf from another, but they have to be cooked together in a certain way in order to produce this magical formula. And I said, "How did you know that?" He goes, "The ayahuasca taught us." So yes, I don't even know how to explain that to people because it is very mystical. But it happened to me as well, because now I have a gift, I imagine, that was given to me by the ayahuasca, that when I see a medicinal plant, I had that here in Scotland. There's this plant that grows wild and it's got like a furry silvery green leaf and a long stalk with yellow flowers. And I said, "Oh, what is this?" Looked it up. It's called mullein and it's for respiratory problems. So, it's just one of those, I don't have an explanation. There is no logic. I just have to believe. That's it.
I agree with you, Alison, because when this question would come to my mind, how did the first people know what are poison? And like you said, the same plant can be medicine or poison,
Yeah.
depending on the need of the person. So one day, my garden is filled with plants which either I'm drawn to, or like I say, I'm not the gardener. I call it my garden, but it's not my garden. It's a garden,
Yeah.
and things just grow on their own. If something needs my human touch, then I say it's not meant to be here. It's not natural to this place. And so one day I just closed my eyes and I just looked around and I asked internally, which of you is for medicine and which is not. And I could sense each one.
Mhm.
And I think that maybe, like anyone who's listening, uh, uh, we are all, like you said, I love that you said we are nature. We are not part of nature. We are not loving nature. We are nature. So maybe it's just that connection. It's like knowing like, if we just allow
If,
ourselves
if we
to
allow.
sense.
Yeah. If you look at the animals, if you look at the birds, they know what to eat. They know what not to eat. You know the noni fruit, it's a superfood. It grows in the jungle. Okay. And whenever we were walking, I would see these fruit on the ground, and animals had been eating them. This is a superfood. The animals know to eat these foods, and they know to eat it when they're sick. So we've somehow, through our technological advances and our societal convictions and advertising and all the things that we've been exposed to, big cities, concrete, microwaves, EMFs, whatever, we've lost a lot of our natural instinct. Really, if we go into a place, like you said, and we're quiet and we listen, the answers come to us because we are nature. We've lost our natural instinct to survive because we're not hunter gatherers anymore. We don't have to live like that anymore. So you're absolutely right. If we focus on it, it can come to us.
At the same time, because people have lost that sense, and many would not even believe this or trust themselves. What do you do, Alison? Like, uh, uh, do you take clients? Do you help people if they ask you if they ask you for healing? How do you help people?
I always give whatever I can give. I don't have a set schedule. I don't have a set agenda. I actually have on my phone from 8 years ago a 2 o'clock alarm, and it's called Healing Time. And I started it with this man 8 years ago because I had done some healing sessions with him. And then I had to leave. And he was like, what am I going to do now that you're gone? Who's going to help me? I said, okay, you set your alarm and I'll set my alarm. And every day I'll send you good energy. I'll send you the healing energy and you'll receive it. You be ready to receive it and I'm going to send it. So I set this alarm called John Healing Time. Excuse me. And I kept thinking about him every day at 2 o'clock. But then other people would say, oh, can you add me? And can you add me? So now my 2 o'clock healing time is very general. It's for everybody. And it's also a time for me to remember to ground myself back and to remember to be a healthy person for myself, because you have to heal yourself before you can heal other people. Excuse me.
Yeah, actually, that's very true. I realized today because as I'm growing older, I'm taking more care of myself. And recently, like I was telling you, I was having some breathing trouble, and one of my healing circle of friends, she said, Meenakshi, she was feeling very bad that I'm feeling this. She said, you can't feel this. You've got to look after yourself. You've done enough for everyone, and now. And I realized that's true. As we grow older, um, we are able to focus on ourselves. But why? Because the reason is still others. I'm still thinking that if I don't look after myself, I'll become a burden on my children. And I don't want to be a burden on my children. So somehow we are able to be selfless, and that helps us to be selfish. When we think of others, we can think of ourselves. It's strange, but somehow maybe this is a woman thing. What do you feel? You feel that this is how we can look after ourselves?
I think definitely for that as well. And even the situation I'm living, I'm taking care of people where I'm living. But I think also I feel like I have things left that I still have to do. And I want to be informed to do those. I want to be physically healthy, mentally healthy, and spiritually healthy in order to accomplish the things. I have huge goals. I'm 64 years old and I'm not finished living my life yet. I have too many things I need to do. So exactly, I'm like, I want to eat well. I want to make sure I get to bed at a decent time. I want to limit the stress in my life. I've cut out so much stress. And I think this is, well, I don't think, I know stress is one of the biggest killers. It causes so many problems with so many people in our society. And that's why we have this overburden of unhealthiness because of stress. And a lot of that is related to what I was saying before is people are not connecting with the nature. Listening to birds is really healing. Listening to the ocean is really healing. Listening to the wind whistling through going through the leaves, the rustling of the leaves. These are all things that are very healing for us. But if we're on our phones, on our computers, watching TV, driving in our cars, we're not getting those things. I see people all the time walking around with headphones on. They're walking through a park and they have headphones on. And I think, why don't you listen to the birds? Why don't you listen to the trees? The trees are trying to talk to you. And we've kind of sort of put this cone of isolation around us with our devices that has become really unhealthy. But yeah, I mean, I have too many things to do. So I'm trying to I'm trying to be maximum health for sure, for sure. And I think this is one of the reasons why I really believe in the idea of making a healing and meditation garden. There is so much unhealthiness in this world, and a lot of people, they want to live healthier, but they don't know how. They don't know where to start. They're so addicted to fast food and this way of living, they don't know how to cook an egg, or they don't know how, everything's wrapped up in plastic and they buy it, it's ready made. They don't know that you can really simply make even making a tomato sandwich is really easy. So, yeah, I probably didn't answer your question. I got off topic there, sorry.
No, but that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes the question is just a little pebble, and where you go, you go. Um, can you hear, in fact, that there's a dog barking here? I'm just wondering.
No, I can't
No,
hear it
see,
at
this is
all.
the beauty of Zoom. You know, and why I've even brought that up? Because like you mentioned that sometimes people are walking. If you're walking in a natural area, then yes, I feel why aren't you listening? But so many people don't really have access to nature of this sort, the flora and fauna that we call nature. And so I'm thinking that even if it's a phone and you're listening to birds through the phone,
Yeah.
you're listening to music. Why I say this is because I have that Gaia consciousness, and in that you realize that even the so-called material things in our world also are part of that consciousness. It just depends on how you use it. So I could take a phone and use it for something, foolish, or I could use it for something really special.
Yeah, no, I do the same thing too. I listen to certain frequency music on my phone or on my laptop. And especially if I'm doing research in a topic that's quite dark and is disturbing, I'll have playing in the background monks chanting or different mantras, a protection mantra, because I want to counteract that action of the darkness. And I went in some of the documentary work that I did and some of the investigations I did. I came across really horrific things and I became very depressed and I got overwhelmed and overburdened by like all these problems in the world and who's going to save the children and how are we going to stop these crimes from being committed and they're damaging this. And because the more I knew, the more upset I got. And then I wanted to just solve all those problems, but I'm one person and it's impossible. And I had to learn to protect myself from allowing that darkness to creep into me. And long ago, I did this as well. I quit watching horror movies and reading books that were disturbing books. I don't watch war movies. I don't watch a lot of certain, I only watch things that are like comedies or action, fun family stuff, because really what we consume, either by eating or by watching or by listening, does affect us. And you're right, you can use your phone, a device, to listen to something that's good. You can listen, like right now, we're creating a program that somebody will get some healing from or some knowledge from. And this is a great thing. But when people are going around and they're listening to, or they're playing, first person killer video games, they're taking themselves to a place that's not a good place to go. And yeah, I've been in that dark hole. I've been in that depression that's really hard to get out of once you get in there. And so I take precautions now, and I'm very careful about the people that I associate myself with now. I like I want to be healthy in all ways, mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah, it's important for you to be in a certain space so you can help so many more.
Yeah,
Someone was telling me, oh, but I like to be in reality. I said, there are so many layers of reality. You can
yeah,
choose something which, like you said, helps us to get into some form of a consciousness from where we can help.
yeah,
No one person can help and do everything.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I,
And
I think this is very important. The what you said, that people can choose what to listen to, what to watch, so that they feel the way they want to feel.
yeah, yeah. And even, even with you, with the co-creator circle, you are making different choices for people as well, just even within your programming. And with the Gaia consciousness, getting people together in a stream of consciousness to focus on positive things. Because sometimes I would find myself, I think that's where we originally met, like years and years and years ago. Sometimes I would find myself so overburdened, but when I was in that slipstream of consciousness with other people, it really pulled me up and elevated me to a place where I thought, I'm not alone. I'm not the only person in the world that cares. I'm not the only person in the world that knows there's a problem here. And I joined a couple of groups again on Telegram, which is a phone program, but I'm in one group with 47,000 citizen journalists. And I'm not the only one who knows that there are problems out there and that are trying to do something about it. So I felt really comforted by that. But I think more importantly, I'm trying to focus on not so much minimizing the negative things, but maximizing the positive things. Because sometimes we put our energy towards stopping something bad, we're not putting our energy towards making something good. And so I'm trying to shift my way of looking at things from not having like, I don't want that negative, like, the double negative thing, to being like a double positive. Yeah.
Exactly. Here, this is where there's this meeting of our hearts. Noni, I'm calling you now by name, Alison, because people, you called me calm, and someone in the office that I work, someone said, used to think that because I'm always calm and peaceful, I'm one of those flighty people who don't know what's going on in the world. And luckily, and they said, how come you're smiling all the time? I said, I guess I must be happy. I didn't know I was smiling. Because it's a very serious work that we do, but then, you can still smile. And this person once asked me, Meenakshi, how are you so calm when something horrible is happening in America? And I said, because I'm fighting all the time. The world is so much worse than we can even know,
Mhm.
but so much better than we can dream. And I will not add my energy to what I don't want to prolong and I don't want to make stronger. So I think this is so important what you just said, Alison. It's so important for us who are saying that who people see us as positive, but it's not positive because we are against the negative. It's positive because we are helping. What after all is negative? Negative is seeking the positive. It's not
Yeah.
seeking to be there.
Yeah.
And we are helping it to find a way to reach this. you know.
Yeah.
So I'm glad. I think you've given some very good tips for people how to reach that. One is nature, and the other is choosing what to listen to and where to put our attention to.
Yeah.
So if you had a like one teach, this is what I really just want to tell people today. Start something right now to change your energy, to get out of depression, because you said that you yourself felt depressed. It's not Depression is not just a feeling of sadness, it's also chemical, it's an ailment.
Yeah.
How do you get out of that?
I mean, I guess it's interesting how you said you're calm and you're always smiling, because I have the same thing too. People say to me, man, like when something horrible happens to you, you just like keep going. And I'm always singing and humming, but I'm not even aware of the fact that I'm doing it. It's a habit that I just do, and I don't even know that I'm doing it. And I guess one of the things that I would tell people, and it was a big game changer for me, when I was living in Los Angeles, I'd come from Canada, where people are pretty friendly. And then I moved to Los Angeles, and everybody was sort of bustling and on their own way. And I would be like, good morning, hello, hello. And nobody talks to you. People look at you like, don't look at me, you're crazy. And I thought, wow, that's really sad. And then you get on the freeway and you're on the 405 with like 100,000 million other people, and everybody's honking and mad. And I started realizing that there was so many people that were in a stressed way, and it's so simple to change that in a split second. If somebody goes by me and honks and flips me the bird and is like, I go, hey, hey, and I act like I know them and like, hey, how are you? And then you see a complete change that happens almost instantly, where they're like, whoa, did I know that person? And then they laugh because they're not sure what happened. So, you can get swept up in that road rage. You can get swept up in that, like, don't talk to me, don't talk to me. Or you can just project from yourself. And I always do this experiment too when I'm walking down the road. And I've noticed it here in Scotland as well. When you go past somebody on the sidewalk, they look down, like nobody wants to make eye contact. And it's really strange to me, because coming from India and then Sri Lanka and South America, everybody looks at everybody, everybody says good morning, everybody says hello. And then you get in this Western society and people are like, don't look at me, don't look at me. And I just smile at people. I just smile. And my challenge is to make other people smile. And it's the simplest thing, because smiling is contagious. So if everybody just went around smiling, the world would be a better place. I mean, it's just one thing that's so simple, costs nothing. There's very little effort in it, but you can really change another person's whole perspective. And if I see somebody who's really unhappy, I really go out of my way to smile at them. You don't know what's going on in other people's lives. So yeah. So if I
And
wanted to teach
usually,
somebody,
when you smile at people, do you usually you do find that they smile back?
well, it's almost like an automatic response. If somebody is smiling at you, it's like a yawn is contagious. You yawn, right? And I would say probably at least 70% of the time they end up smiling back. Some people kind of like just look at you like, are you weird? Like, what's your deal? They roll their eyes a little bit or whatever. But those people, like, they're having their own moment, whatever. You can't reach everybody. But honestly, and I'll stand like if I'm waiting in a lineup at a grocery store or a checkout, anything, I'll try and engage with the people around me just by smiling. And sometimes, like, I'll strike up a conversation. How are you doing today? And it really puts people, kind of throws them off their game for a minute. But eventually, if you just are projecting happiness and being a fun person, what can they do? Nothing. Sometimes they bring it back to you. Oh, I'm great. Thank you. Thank you. So
Alison, where did you get this from? Where did you get this, this strength to be able to smile at someone who is not smiling, and to have this positivity in situations where people are not positive? People would
I,
think it's because you had a very easy life and everything was hunky dory.
no, no, my life has been, I've had a life of challenges. I mean, I really, my father died when I was 2 years old, and I was unsettled in my childhood. I had all kinds of things happening to me. But I think maybe it comes from a point of empathy where I can see, because I've had my own pain, when I see people, I think I just want to make them feel better. Because you don't know what happened to somebody. We don't know what anybody else's story is. We don't know, like, where did they come from? What just happened? What just happened to them 5 minutes ago? What happened to them 5 years ago? And if we have like this idea of like that everybody's carrying their own bag of pain, that really there's something so simple as giving them a cheerful greeting or smiling at them, hey, have a good day, and oh, I also do this if I go to a place and I get poor service or somebody's rude to me, I say, oh, thank you so much. Have a great day. And I just leave with this overenthusiastic attitude. And again, they're confused. They're really confused. But sometimes it'll just trigger something. I don't know. I mean, and I don't care. I mean, I'm not responsible for other people's behavior. I tell people this too. You're not responsible for what other people do in the world. You're only responsible for your own behavior. You're only in charge of your own actions and your own words. You're responsible for yourself. I mean, if you have children, obviously you're responsible for them too, but as adults, we are responsible for our own behavior. I can't change how my neighbor behaves or how the guy at the grocery store behaves or how the politician behaves. It's not my responsibility, but I can be in charge of how I behave. And if I set myself out into the world in the best, putting my best foot forward and being happy, that's the best I can do. I can't expect other people to do anything else.
That's very inspiring. Alison, why? Because I was at I don't know how come I was at a pediatrician recently. Anyway, and I saw a big sign, which is a very common thing that people say, that if a child lives with anger, he learns to be angry. If he lives with I don't know, the child becomes what he experiences. And it is so wrong. I have seen children. It's like thinking that children are just blank slates and have no soul of their own. But like you've just shown, it doesn't matter what kind of childhood we've had, what kind of experience we have. Each of us has got that soul, that heart, that connection to nature, to the divine, whatever we want to call it, our own inner strength, our own inner healing, that from the child itself can come, I will not be like this.
Yeah.
I will not let another person experience. And the beauty and in a way, you can call it a bittersweet lesson from that is that it is times of trouble that can bring out the best in a person. Because they force us to come out with our best. There's no other way to live through traumatic situations except to bring out our best.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, and you can look at a family that has 8 kids and they're all completely different. They're all raised in the same household. They're all treated the same. They all eat the same food, but they're completely different. So, I think, sure, things happen to us that are outside of our control, but it gets to the point where it doesn't matter what happened to me in my past. It doesn't matter how many horrible things happened to me. I'm living in today. Today is my day. I'm not worried about what happened in the past. I'm not worried about what's going to happen in the future. I'm focused on today. And I think that's also, I guess, another thing that really helped me was living in the now, living for today. Like I almost had my life taken, and that really woke me up. And so every day I'm just grateful to be alive. It's like each day that I live now is a gift. So I live not like it's the last day, because sometimes that sounds a little bit irresponsible to me, like, oh, just go and spend all your money and do whatever you want. No, I'm not living like that, but I'm living like this could be my last day, and I'm just grateful to be here, and I'm grateful that I have this day, and every day is special because it's a day that was a gift. So
yeah, every time you breathe in and you breathe out, you don't know if the next breath will come in. Alison, one of the things that I was thinking is like you're tending to people, you're caregiving. So how does a person who's needing to look after themselves and others, from where can they get the strength? what should they look out for?
Well, I mean, the same things that we talked about earlier is it's not just eating a healthy diet, having a good routine of like walking regularly. I mean, you don't have to go to the gym 5 times a week or anything, but I go for a walk twice a day. Once with one of my ladies, and then I take a walk after dinner by myself. I was finding that people here, they eat late at night. In India, people eat late at night too, and I don't like to go to bed with a stomach full of food. So I go for a walk after dinner and I just kind of try and work some of that food off. But it's a matter of watching what we put into ourselves, whether that be what are we consuming socially through our medias, what are we watching on TV, what are we what are we exposing ourselves to, what kind of people are around us, and do we have people that are like energy drains? Like I've cut people out of my life, people who I love and respect and care about, but I can't have them draining me. When you find like some people are givers or takers, and if you surround yourself by people who are constantly taking, because I'm a giver, I attract takers, right? That's a formula. And I had to learn to not give myself away to some people, because you have to draw a line. And I had to grow up and say, hey, you know what? I'm not here to solve everybody else's problems. I'm not here to be a psychiatrist for everybody else. Especially people who have a repeat. So, watching what you eat, taking care of yourself physically, watching what you consume spiritually, giving yourself credit, like realizing, hey, I'm doing a good job and I'm going to just keep going. And also, like, I think it's really important to surround yourself with people, or even, we don't need to have a fan club, but I have a couple of people in my life that are very kind and very loving and very supportive to me. And, if I have something going on, I'll check in with them. And then I know they're going to come back with something that really solidifies how I feel. Hey, you're doing a great job, or I'm really excited for you. And I think sometimes we spread ourselves too thin and then we're not effective. And that was something that I definitely had a problem with. I was trying to do too many things for too many people. I was trying to, like my son was like, Mom, stop trying to save the world. And I had to realize I can't do everything. I can't stop this government. I can't stop this war. I can't stop these different things that are happening. So I've had to say, like, yes, all those things are going on and they're bad things. But I'm just going to do what I can do. And I'm gonna be effective in my little corner. And I'm going to smile when I walk down the street. And then you're not overwhelmed by all that stuff. You have to.
Yeah. So this is two other things that you have said in this. One was that you have a community of people, loosely formed community of people who are supportive of you, so you have that strength. And also the group that you have online of people, so that it's not only you thinking this way. So many people who we come across through our co-creator circle conversations, they say, oh my gosh, no one around me has the interest that I have. And so
Yeah,
there was that sense of loneliness, and I understand that so well. So instead of putting all our thoughts on our families and friends who are not really interested in what our visions and our dreams are, how wonderful that through this technology we can meet one another. This
yeah,
is so important, and that's why in Co-Creator Circle we are making our community of members.
yeah.
We are going to be launching it later
Oh, excellent.
yeah, later this next week. And I can see that from that you are a builder, one who one who can, on their own, they're shining their light, but they value the community, because together so much more can be achieved, even if it's just supporting one another. How important it is so that we can continue doing the work. I'm going to take a little bit of a change and ask you about your movies. What kind of a movie are you making something right now?
Well, basically, I'm preparing. I'm going to my 46th country, Nigeria, on September 15th for the African Creative Market Global. And I mean, I'm really excited. It's a conference for film, music, art, technology, and fashion. So I'm going to be speaking on film, and I'm going to be there to network and collaborate with filmmakers from the African continent, but people from other countries as well. And the whole idea of this conference is for international trade. For Africa, the nations of Africa are looking to strengthen some of their international trade. So for me, I've made movies in Canada, I've made movies in Los Angeles, I've made documentaries in different parts of the world. Like when I say movies in those places, those are like big feature Hollywood kind of films. But I've also made documentaries in different places and independent films. And in the last 4 years, I've been more focused on writing. And interestingly enough, last year, I wrote a series for India, which was really a big challenge because I had to get into the mindset of the Indian culture. And I had to, I lived in India for 4 years, so I have a pretty good idea of things. But the humor, my humor and Indian humor are two different things. And this program was a dark comedy, and I thought nobody's going to find this funny because my humor is clever word humor, and Indian humor is more like slapstick and food on the guy's shirt and things like that. I mean, it's just different kind of humor. But it was a great exercise, and I really enjoyed it. And now I'm starting actually, because people have been telling me for years and years and years, you need to write a book, you need to make a movie about your life, because I've had some pretty outstanding things happening in my life. But I actually have been searching for editors, and I'm shortlisting now down to a couple. And I'm writing a book about my own experiences. So I've got like a lot of different things going on at the same time, but mostly, especially because I'm taking care of other people right now. So in the house, I can have my quiet time on the computer and I can do my writing. I can do reading, I can do research. So I don't like being on a film set. First of all, it takes millions and millions of dollars, which I don't have. But also it's very like you're working for like 18 hours a day for 4 months in a row. And I'm just not in a position to be able to do that right now. So I'm really focused on the writing. And it's something that I believe is my strength. Like again, when I was talking before about spreading ourselves too thin, I wanted to be the cameraman, the director, the host, the interview. I wanted to be the everything. And I went around doing a lot of that for years, making my own documentaries where I was the cameraman and I was the interviewer and I was the editor and I was the script writer. And now I'm kind of like, okay, I'm going to be part of a collaborative team. And then I can be more effective. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing now. And all of my films have all of them are socially responsible. What I would say socially responsible. I don't do horror. I don't do anything that's got a bad story. I want to make stuff that's general for all family members, all ages can watch. So some of my documentary work wasn't like that, but films, yes, I want to make entertainment that people can laugh and have a good time, but then also walk away thinking maybe about something.
So where can we see your documentary films?
A lot of them are kind of here, there, and everywhere. I'm really good at making stuff and not really good at marketing myself. But
so that's what we can do for you. If you have a place and then we can share that.
And
I'll share a few when we post this video.
Yeah, basically, you can go to my YouTube channel and there's a few things there right now. But my feature films, one is available on Showtime, one's available on Amazon Prime. If you go to my IMDb page, which is Internet Movie Database, then you can look up the different films that I've made. It's funny, like once I've done something, I just walk away and I go on to the next thing. I'm not really like hung up on like, oh, I need to show people.
Okay, so I'm going behind
weird.
you now. So Alison Richards. So if I go to IMDb and I put in Alison Richards.
Alison Richards. And you have to put like the 2 behind it because there's a bunch of Alison Richards. I don't know why I'm Alison Richards the second. I should really be the first, but anyways.
But Alison with 2 L's.
No, Alison with one L. But then you have to put it, Alison Richards, like two ones,
Okay.
like yeah, I don't know, it's
Alison with
weird.
one L and then Alison Richards too. Got it.
Yeah. So
On IMDb.
and it was really unfortunate, and hopefully they'll be back up before the 15th because I was panicking. I've had my websites about AlisonRichards.com, which I would say go to the website, but right now it's not there. And Earth One Media. Those are my two primary sites. But my server, I've had these websites, AlisonRichards.com, I've had since 2001. And so that's 23 years. And it was on a server in Austin, Texas. And they just sent me a message like a month ago saying, oh, the server's old and we're migrating all your stuff. So they took all my stuff off this server and transferred it to a new server, but everything got all jumbled up because I have like 7 different websites. So now I had to hire these guys to try and figure out how to get everything up and going. And I said, Earth One Media, which is my company site, earth1media.com, and AlisonRichards.com. Those are my 2 main sites. But right now they are in limbo because actually, if you go to AlisonRichards.com, it looks like an architectural site. It's like a WordPress template. I said, what is this?
We'll reach there.
But
You know,
they will get back because I've hired people and paid them money to make sure that it happens. So like,
well, this is a good time instead of that to visit your healing and meditation garden virtually.
yes,
So,
yes, yes.
so one, tell me where do you feel that you'll act physically create it? And after that, can you sort of make us go into it in a virtual way?
Okay, so I've had a lot of different plans. Starting in Ecuador, I looked at property in Ecuador and I was very close to buying this property, but it was in US dollars. And I thought, oh, the whole idea of being in another country is not to be working in US dollars. It was just something about it that made me think, do I really want to stay here for the rest of my life? And then that was when I left for India. So I think I'm going to go back to India. I really feel like India is probably the place where I'm going to retire and do this because of the plants that I want to grow require a certain temperate zone, a tropical zone. A lot of them are from our South American plants, but the same plants, a lot of the same plants or similar plants grow in India. So I want to make a garden that has all of these different medicinal herbs, different medicinal plants, but also plants that attract the nature, plants that attract butterflies, plants that attract bees, berries and fruits, things like that for wild animals, because the whole idea is not just for people to be attracted to this garden, but for the nature to be attracted to the garden. I want to have bees there. I want to have birds. I want to have all the nature in a spot where really people don't even have to consume anything from the garden. Just sitting in the energy of the garden is very healing in and of itself. When you're beside plants that are healing plants, they're giving off an energy and a frequency, just the same thing, the same way that we as people give off energy and frequency. Like a plant that's a bad plant, you'll get a bad feeling from it, a poisonous plant. In the same way, if you meet a person on the street and they're not a nice person, you're going to get a bad feeling from that person. And that's what we were talking about before, was reconnecting and trusting our instincts. Trusting our instincts to know, hey, if I have this feeling and this instinct, I need to listen to it. And so my garden would be full of beautiful flowers that attract all these butterflies and birds. And you could just sit there peacefully and be actually full without eating or drinking anything, just from the energy of the plants around you. And that's I mean, I can see it so clearly in my head. It's just it's a vision. Everything's designed in companion style too, because different plants, some plants take potassium and give nitrogen, some plants take nitrogen and give potassium. So all the planting, if you look in nature, you don't have like blocks and blocks and blocks of the same plant. It's all a mixture of different plants. And when we allow things to go organically and naturally, what people call weeds, there's no such thing as a weed. I get crazy when people say that's a weed. I'm like, no, it's not. The weed is there for a purpose. Most weeds are soil fixers or medicinal. Dandelion, perfect example. And the other thing that I notice is if it's growing prolifically, it's because we really need it. It was put there because we really need it. So I want to work with the nature, allowing the nature to make the garden, and I'll just be the helping hand.
This is so beautiful, Alison. As you're speaking, I feel this is what the Gaia Minute is about, just merging with nature. And that's the best meditation. You
Yeah.
don't need anything, you're just there. I can almost feel as if I'm feeling healed by listening about what you're going to be creating. And I'm very excited to actually visit it wherever it does get. We're going to keep, I would love to have you back later when you publish your book.
Perfect.
Yes, we would love
Yeah.
that.
There's a whole
Uh,
nother story in that book.
any last words for before we end this podcast?
No, it was wonderful to spend time with you. And I always love being in the presence of your aura and your calmness. And thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed. I mean, thank you for giving me an opportunity to share my vision, just for my little corner of the world. But yeah, I mean, everybody has something special to do, and I really hope that from listening, people will find out what their special thing is.
Alison is a person whose corner of the world is in the entire world.
When people ask me, where are you from? I say, well, I was born in Canada, but my dad's from Scotland and I have a UK passport, but I'm a global citizen. I'm I believe that we can be anywhere that we want to be. So unfortunately, there's things called visas and passports that we have to use. But
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, this is so beautiful, Alison. I love it, and I would love to keep having this conversation. But
okay.
I think this is a good place to end,
Yeah.
and we'll have you again. Thank
Okay.
you so much for
Thank
being,
you so much.
and I really invite listeners to comment, and to say what you felt, which part of the conversation do you wish you knew more of, or what do you want to say? Because so many of our listeners themselves have amazing experiences, and I would really love to hear from everyone.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have on my blog site, I have a subscription port. I can send you the link for that, but I would love to have people, you can contact me directly as well. And I'm always up for answering more questions, and I'm looking actually for a new mentee right now. I always mentor somebody, so I'm at a point now where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to take on a new person. So if somebody there is listening and you feel called to think you want to learn some things, then let me know what you want.
Beautiful. We'll put that in the description as well.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
everyone.